Hello, everybody. I am Becca Hall. I'm an illustrator here in Cornwall, and today I am going to be chatting with Briony Machin. Briony is a Lancashire based creative. She specialises in mosaics and surface design, and we're going to be covering the ups and the downs of freelance life and running your own business, as well as going into topics like copycats and inspiration, all things mosaic based. She is an absolutely wonderful person inside and out, and I'm really excited for this chat. She has been running her own business for the last 9 years, so she's got lots of amazing information, stories, and tips. So without further ado, here's Briony. Hi, Briony. Oh,
Sorry.
okay,
You're
we'll start
right.
again. Hi, Briony.
Am I supposed to say her back? No, sorry.
Hi, Briony.
Hi, Becca.
Lovely to see you, and thank you
You
for coming
too.
on today.
Thanks for asking
Um,
me.
Oh, it's exciting. I've been wanting to do this for ages, so it's going to be really good because I'm intrigued. I already know some bits, but to know lots of the ins and outs and ups and downs and stuff of your business. And I think it's really nice to hear different kind of women's business stories about how
Uh-huh.
they got into it. And I'm sure there'll be things that maybe we both kind of had struggles with, but in different ways or whatever. But I'm excited to get into it. But can you start by just telling us about what inspired you to get into mosaics in the first place?
Like I had no intention of getting into mosaics. Never did I think I would be sitting here as a mosaic artist. I did an art degree, um, which was design crafts. So we did ceramics, glass, textiles, metal. We did some woodwork. We were in plastic workshops. The one thing that we didn't do probably was mosaic, which was great. Um, So then, like, you kind of went round all the different workshops and then chose one or two to specialise in. So I did ceramics, mainly on a wheel, and like my whole degree show was all ceramics, and that was what I really wanted to do. I also started doing a little bit of mixed media. So I'd always done like a really broad range of creative things and used different materials and everything. Um, and then when I graduated, I wasn't really doing much, straight out of uni. I got a part-time job and then was just kind of, like, playing with all different, processes and materials. My mum had done a little bit of mosaic. She was an art teacher, and then when she left teaching in the secondary school, she went freelance and started, like, running art workshops in primary schools and at different groups and in the community and different things, but, like, all different like creative um projects. And within that she'd done a bit of mosaic, so she had loads of the stuff kind of left over. So one day I was just like basically stole her stuff and was just playing. I remember I sat on the patio and I got loads of the bits out and I just kind of started playing around with it and it was just a bit of a hobby. Um And then I helped her on a couple of her projects as well. So I kind of was self-taught, but also she gave me the first few little pointers of what to do. And then I just really found it just so relaxing. And I think nothing's ever quietened my brain quite like mosaic does. And that is why I pursued it as just a hobby to begin with. And then it just kind of went from there, really. I just carried on.
That's so cool. I like that you didn't really ever have an intention to do like mosaics. It was just something that kind of happened almost. And then now I feel like that's your whole life. It's mosaics.
Wild. No, it was one of them things as well that I'd never really seen mosaics that I was like, "Wow, like, I want to do that." It was just never really something that I'd ever really thought about doing. I'd never seen the kind of mosaics that I do now.
Mm,
Um, so I was, like, definitely wanted to do my own kind of take on it, and I think because I'd had that background of all the different, like, ceramics and drawing and printmaking, and all of that kind of came together to inspire the kind of mosaics that I now make, which are a little bit more maybe modern, they're a bit more kind of simplistic and minimal, but more of a focus on, like, the surface pattern side of things rather than
Mm,
traditional mosaic.
that's really cool. I bet now you see, like, whenever you're traveling, you just, like, spot mosaics, which before you would have just wandered past.
Yeah. Now I'm like, next to every single mosaic. My camera roll is just full of, like, pictures of tiles, pictures of mosaics. It's so nice though as well because other people, when they travel, will send me pictures, then they'll be like, "Oh, I thought of you when I saw
Oh,
this in whatever country it might be."
oh,
Um,
that's really
so yeah,
fun.
it's really
That's
nice.
cool. Do you like how does your creative process work? Do you kind of draw things out like on paper or on your iPad first to kind of think about a design, or do you know your tiles now inside and out that you just kind of think of something and go, or do you just play straight without really a plan?
Bit of a mix really, like, I'll never draw a mosaic out. That's
Mm.
never something unless it's been like the community panels that I've done where they've been really big projects, they're always quite meticulously designed because there isn't time on the day
Yeah,
for faffing, and
yeah,
I'm kind of, like, managing so many people contributing to it that there needs to be a really good plan. So they're always drawn out first. But for my own work, sometimes I might have designed a print or a wrapping paper,
yeah,
and then I'll think like, "Oh, this would be really cool as a mosaic." So that design then will inspire, like, the mosaic version of it, but I'll never really draw out unless it's something so, for like I always say at workshops as well, if it's just like a floral pattern, I'll just plan it on the board and kind of go with it. But if it's something a bit more like a so, like, when you did your polar bear, I said to
yeah,
you, "You need to draw out the shape, so you've got a
yeah,
guide to kind of follow." Um, but other than that, a lot of the time, I just because I really like the process of just starting and just seeing
mm,
where it goes, and if it's not a commission or it's not, like, has to be a specific design for somebody, I think it's quite a nice way to do it, but a lot of the time, it will be because I've designed something for a different purpose, and then I've
yeah.
thought,
Okay.
"That'd be a really cool mosaic." Sorry, the
Yeah, no,
laptop.
no, that's cool. Do you get inspired by, like, color kind of color palettes or anything in the outside world? Is there any time when you're like, "Oh, I really like," even if it's something in nature or something that you've seen that's man-made that you're like, "Oh, I really like that color combination."
Yeah, yeah, I think that's one of the things my inspiration has always come from, like, not necessarily mosaics or tiles, it has always been, I don't know, like a bouquet of flowers that I've been given and I really like certain colours together or certain shapes.
Yeah.
Um, or when we've travelled, we went to Morocco and the rugs are obviously amazing.
Yeah.
Um, surface patterns on stationery. I don't know, I'll just be, like, in a random toilet in a hotel and be like, "Oh, that wallpaper's so nice. I'm gonna use that certain flower in that," or I don't know. Just I'm sure you probably find the same, that it just
Yeah.
comes at really random times,
Yes,
which
totally.
means it's
From
nice because 'cause you've got, like, such a big, broad collection of inspiration that it's not just based on one thing,
yeah.
which I think is then why your work becomes so unique because it is literally about your whole, like, experience of
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, totally. For me, it's like if I see like a really interesting looking person, like when you're at the
Mhm.
airport and you've got all the different people, and sometimes people just stand out, their character is just different. Or if it's like a really characterful dog or something walking along the street, and I'm like, that would be an amazing
Yeah,
character. And I kind of almost like make mental notes to then be like, right, when I'm home, I need to get down what I can remember of that, even if it's
yeah.
just for a page
Because
in
I
a
guess
sketchbook.
because I can take a picture of a rug, but you can't really just go up to, like, a man with a pigeon on his head and be like
Exactly. Well, maybe you wouldn't mind.
I reckon that's probably why he stood there, like, "Why is no one taking my
Yeah.
picture?"
Well, the truth is there was no pigeon. I added the pigeons because I
Mm.
really liked the idea that he was interacting with pigeons. He was actually just waiting for a taxi, but I really
You
liked the way he was, like, shuffling around and his, like, shoulders were
you could
kind of
imagine a
up
pigeon being on his head.
wise. Yeah, it was one of those things where you can just feel it, and I thought if I just draw him, he's just a man, but if I add something else, it becomes a story. But yeah, it is not like I know what you mean. I'm constantly seeing little bits unexpectedly when you're not even really looking, you're like, "Oh, that would be quite fun to bring into work." Can you share, like, some of your biggest challenges that you face, like, about the running of your own business side?
God, how long have you got? Ooh, um, the sheer volume of
Yeah.
things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis that I constantly feel now more than, like, how I used to feel, but constantly feel like I'm trying to catch up with myself.
Mm.
But I guess, like, the biggest challenge was obviously COVID,
Yeah.
um, because everything just got cancelled
And you
and
just kind of started, right? Just, like, as in, workshop-wise, you had your studio and
no,
stuff,
no, so
didn't
I'd
you?
been running workshops for, like, 4 years before that,
Right, okay.
um, but obviously because I was entirely a workshop business, as soon as the pandemic hit, not even when it hit, it was like, well, not even when we locked down, like, a few weeks before when people started not wanting to go out, that's when all of my workshops had to be cancelled with, like, no idea when they might
Oh,
start up again, and at that
yeah,
point, that was, like, my whole business. I didn't have the product side of it, I
yeah.
didn't I didn't have a shop, I didn't have any other side to it, I didn't have a website, um, so that was, like, obviously the biggest challenge
Mm.
as one thing, um, but, like, daily challenges, social media, like, keeping up with doing all of that, um, imposter syndrome, like,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of, like, the biggest challenges that I do actually, because there's so many little ones, isn't there, each day,
yeah.
that you just kind of, like, it just part and parcel of running a small business, um, yeah, I can't really think of
No, that's fair.
the big
I think
one.
that's the thing when it is constant little things and then they kind of in a way can add up to the big
Mhm.
things as well. It doesn't, so pulling one thing out doesn't always seem that bad when you just list it like, "Oh, I have loads of things on my to-do list." And it's like, "Okay." But then it's
Yeah.
kind of when it's other things that might be happening or deadlines for maybe other bits that you're doing or
Mhm.
commissions or I always feel like for you, I don't know how you are doing like a big piece and then you're like, "Right, I've got to host a workshop this evening," and then go into workshop mode. That must be quite mentally challenging.
Yeah, I think especially because everything's, like, in one room, so I might be trying to pack 100 kits, and the room is and, like, I'm a messy person, so there's just stuff absolutely everywhere, and it'll be, like, counting down because 'cause I've got a workshop in an hour's time, and I need to make the room look perfect again. Um, but again, like, obviously it is challenging, but I just kind of see that as I'm fortunate to have a room where I can do everything. It's
Yeah.
so much easier now than when I used to run workshops at different venues and I'd have to, like, pack all of my stuff up, take it
Yeah.
to the venue, set it up, and, like, the setup and clean down time was probably longer than the actual workshop was. Um, so yeah, I think I take so much on, and I know you do
Mm.
too, that you do end up just feeling like, "Why?" But I think also it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
As a small business, self-employed person, I constantly feel like, "Well, it's been a good run, but I don't know what's gonna it could all end tomorrow." Or,
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
if you have one quiet week and you're like, "Oh, it's over.
Yeah, especially if you
The
weren't
dream's
expecting
over."
that quiet week and then,
Yeah.
yeah, you're just like, "Oh, right, I guess." I should look at job applications now.
Well, literally. So I think I take so much on with that fear of kind of making the most of the opportunity whilst I've got it. Um, but yeah, it's just a lot. And also
Yeah.
because I am on my own and I do everything completely by myself. I've got nobody like working for me at all. Um, then obviously it is like managing your time and making sure that
Mm.
you do have a little bit of downtime as well.
Yeah,
But because,
how
like, I absolutely love it, it's completely my own fault if I've got too much on, and because I am completely obsessed with working as well,
yeah.
um, and have been for so many years that it just kind of feels like this is life.
Yes.
This is how it.
Yeah. I think we're quite similar that way. I find it very hard to say no because I'm like, the tap could turn off. And also, I'm like, well, why not? Why, I
Mhm,
feel like we're both so driven to see how far our businesses can go. We could both kind of sit back and go, well, we're earning enough on workshops or Patreon or whatever. But actually, it's like, but I don't want to just kind of mosey along. I really want to
mhm.
push this to see how far I could go, and I think you're the
Yeah.
same with that.
Well, like, opportunities come up, don't they? And the
Mm,
opportunities you would never have been able like, you wouldn't have even dreamed of 5
yeah,
years ago. So how can you say although there's been a few that I have had to say no to, which have been, like, amazing because I just wouldn't have been able to do them. But,
yeah,
um, yeah, I think a lot of the time I owe it to myself to
yes,
do them. But and then obviously my biggest challenge at the moment is people copying me.
yes. Well, I want to go into that. Um, I was just gonna say about how do you balance this creative side of your business and your kind of like marketing and admin bit, and then we can go on to these copycats after that.
What was the question?
The q the question is how do you have any, like, kind of tactics or methods that work for you about balancing your creative side and then your admin business side? Because obviously we can all sit and be creative, but then there's always that admin there, like,
Mhm.
looking over your shoulder. Do you have, like, certain methods to kinda get it
No,
done or no?
nope, no method, no tactic, no method. I wish I did because it's hard work.
Yeah,
Um, I think you just have to prioritize what needs to be done that day, and
yeah,
sometimes like things don't get done, um, which I then do beat myself up about quite a lot. But prioritizing, I think, is the only way I can do it. So it's
mm,
like, right, what needs to be done over this week? What has to be done by the end of the week?
yeah,
And kind of going from there. And I'll always prioritize admin jobs as well that are like, I don't even know, like things that need to be done for a customer or
mm,
somebody's booked a work, like they've already booked a workshop. So I need to deal with like that side and my customers that are already my customers before I then try and get I don't even know, I'm not
yes,
explaining this very well, but basically just prioritize because I can't do it all. I am probably gonna have to take somebody on to help with that side of it.
yeah,
Um, because the admin it and do you class social media as admin?
yeah.
Or do you think that's a separate thing altogether?
I would definitely see it in the admin side, but I would see it as more of like for me, because I'm at a different level to you, it's more of like a bit of a fun admin side, like kind of getting my
Mhm.
work out there and stuff. But I imagine for you, because you've got like, oh, is it how many, over 200 and how many thousand followers?
295 on Instagram.
295. That has
I think
flown
I got
literally since
yeah, I know. I think it's gone up like 95,000 this year,
that
like
is
in the last 2 months.
yeah, that is crazy because I feel like it wasn't that long ago and I looked and you were on like 2,219 or something. I feel like it's
Well, I was stuck between 200 and 210 for a year. It just kept going up and down. But yeah, the last
I think that's
few
Instagram. I think the algorithm's weird, and then it's almost like once you hit a point, they go, "Fine, I'll let more people in now for a bit."
maybe. I think I have had a video that got like 10 million views again, so I think
Amazing.
everybody's just come from that one.
That's really
Um,
cool. But yeah, so your admin side, when you've got that many followers, must be a lot because, I'll get messages and stuff, but it's quite easy for me to maintain, whereas I can't imagine, like, that's almost a full-time job,
yeah,
yours.
yeah, it definitely could be. I think people probably think that you get more than you do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not crazy amounts every single day. There's
Mhm.
certain times, so, like, if a video does do well, like, for that kind of week, it might be a lot more, but then it'll quieten down again.
Right,
It's not like
okay.
200,000 people are trying to message me
Yeah.
every day. Um, but I think the admin part of it is just creating the post in the first place, 'cause I don't think you can just snap a quick little picture of what you've done that day. And, like
No.
Instagram in the good old days, it was just
Yeah.
like a quick photo
One
or
picture.
a picture that maybe takes you 20 minutes or even half an hour to
Yeah.
create and edit and write the caption and all of that. But
Uh-huh.
now that you need to, like, create a carousel and which is a few photos or,
Yeah.
um, film a reel, which might take all day or
Yeah.
whatever, however long it might take.
Yeah.
It definitely is a longer process now, and obviously then creates more admin.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. And then people kind of consume that reel in less than a minute or whatever, and then they're like, "What's the next one?" And you're like,
yeah. Although
"Oh,
if one does well, I'm like, "Just watch that one for a bit. That
yeah,
one will see me through for a week.
that's true. Yeah, that's
That'll do." Or if someone, like, every now and again, like Unilad or someone shared my post this week, I was like, "Right, well, that was this week's social media
Yes,
stuff."
that's good. Yeah, you don't need to do it anymore.
No, but you just have to now, don't you? It's, like, just such an important part of it,
Mm,
and because I have seen the power of it, it's completely
yeah,
changed my entire business and my life without sounding
yeah.
dramatic.
No,
Um,
I wanna go into that more, but before we go into that, let's talk about these copycats because you posted on your Instagram yesterday or the day before, about, the fact that over the weekend you'd had another copycat. This isn't the first time it's happened, and I'll let you chat about it, but basically, people aren't just kind of being inspired by your work, they're almost taking your whole ethos and style and everything and calling it their own. Is that right?
yeah, like,
Yeah.
people recreating things tile for tile, posting it on their social media or whatever, saying, "Oh, I've come up with a new design, what shall I call it?" Um, like, there's been so many different instances and so many, like, variations of it, and, like, the first thing I will say, somebody commented on that post yesterday. I wasn't gonna write it, I was so hesitant to do that post because 'cause I've
Mhm.
mentioned it a few times in stories before,
Yeah.
um, and I've always had, like, loads of really nice messages back, but obviously stories disappear after 24 hours.
Yeah.
Um, it first happened, like, 2 years ago, and then ever since then and I've got such a lovely community who will send me to be like, "I'm really sorry to see this is happening, but have you seen this
Mhm.
person? I'm sorry to bring it up." And that just kept getting more and more and more. So I stopped mentioning it because when people like, it was so lovely that people were sending it to me, but I was just really trying to bury my head about it,
Mm.
not think about it, and that's kind of how I was trying to deal with it, because it was just impacting on my own health too much.
Yeah.
So it was either like I have to really crack down on this and go down the full legal route,
Mhm.
or which I did have a meeting with a lawyer and then just felt so sick afterwards that I was like, no, the bury your head, pretend it's not happening, use it as motivation to like crack on.
Mm.
But then I think so. I'd kind of got over it, not got over it, that is a lie, but I'd ignored it and just
Yeah.
tried to not let it bother me as much, which I was doing quite well with for, like, the last 6 months. Because last year I just didn't really wanna share anything on social media. I had to delete Pinterest. I didn't wanna open TikTok because just the algorithm's like, "You like floral mosaics, here's one," and it'd just be and then people would come into my workshop with a picture of one of these people who'd copied me as their inspiration photo.
No. No.
It was awful,
Oh,
because they thought it was mine.
that's
Um,
awful.
I know, it was horrible, and there's just been a few things like that. So, anyway, over the weekend when somebody messaged me again, and a bigger platform where people can advertise their work on workshops
Uh-huh.
and businesses had basically put paid spend behind this person's, website,
Oh,
which meant that more people were seeing it and more people were thinking it was me and
right.
booking it or buying the kit or whatever. So I just thought I just need to say something because I've kind of kept it all in for so long,
Yeah.
and I think the more you, because I don't think I always give people the benefit of the doubt that they don't understand why it's so wrong necessarily.
Yeah.
Or people might think, "Oh, well, that workshop's well closer to me, so I might as well just
Right.
go to that one."
Yeah.
Or Briony's not got any availability for a door number at the moment, so I'll just get one from so and
Yeah.
so. Um, so I just don't think a lot of people realise that it is wrong.
Mm.
So that is kind of why I do like to mention it every now and again, just to bring awareness to it. And I think there's so many other creatives that have experienced the same.
Yeah.
That if people don't talk about it, then people don't realise that it's happening so much.
Yeah.
Um, so I just decided yesterday. I spent all day, like I started writing a post at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I sat on the floor because I needed to charge my phone. And then at like 7 o'clock, I realised I'd been sat there for so many hours. It had gone dark. And I was just sat, like, waiting to press post because I just felt
Oh,
so funny about posting it, but then I had such a nice response, like, it's had I never expected it to get the response it has. It's been really overwhelming, and I've had so many nice messages, but there was one comment, um, and she said, "It's really sad to see you bashing small businesses. You didn't invent floral mosaics. You're not the first and you won't be the last. You'll probably delete this comment and block me. So bye," or something like that.
oh,
So I just
wow.
replied and I was like, "Hi, in no way am I bashing any small businesses. I'm well aware that there's so many people doing floral mosaics.
Mm.
Um, and there's so many amazing like versions of it out there, but I've worked so hard to develop a style which is completely unique to me. And what I
Yeah.
am talking about here is the people who are literally they've been to my workshop, they've bought a kit, they've photocopied the instructions to be able to run their own workshops. They've copied my designs tile for tile and set up pages selling them as their own. They've used my photos on their own website to
Wow.
advertise workshops. They've commented on posts on my Instagram to say, "Oh, Briony's not got any kits in stock, so come to my website." And it's
That's
just
awful.
it's non-stop. It's
And that's
just
theft as well. That's not like other people you're not saying nobody can do mosaics
mm,
or nobody can even do floral mosaics. They're
mm,
literally stealing your designs, and, like, it's exactly the same with illustration, but I think for some reason, some people are obviously getting confused with mosaics, but, it would be the same if somebody stole my illustration. It's not saying you can't paint or draw animals or even draw from the
no,
same picture. It's like taking like,
yeah,
if someone was to copy it line for line and shade for everything and then said,
mhm,
"Look at this amazing thing I drew."
yeah, and they'd learned how to do it from your Patreon.
Yes. Yeah.
That is just what like, there's been people who have been to workshops and then they've set up and, like, you'd be crazy to think like, I'd be absolutely mental to be like, "Nobody can do mosaics with flowers ever
Yeah.
again because that's what I do." Like, that is just not so anyway, I replied to her saying that, and then she deleted a comment
Did she?
after saying that I would delete mine.
Yeah.
But that was the only, like, bit of negativity that I had
Well,
from it.
that's good. And I
Um,
think that's the sad thing that, and I know you've said, like, everyone was being, like, amazing and stuff, but it just takes one person to go the other way, and you're, like, focusing on that. Even though you're aware of the other people, you're like, "That's really kind." You're like, "But this one person said this," and it's so that is the power of, like, keyboard warriors, and it
yeah.
is awful.
Yeah, I don't I she didn't even follow me or anything, so I'm not really sure where it came from.
Oh.
And, like, fair enough, say that, but I think I obviously just explained it back to her well enough that then she hopefully she just thought, "Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough."
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully that's it, and then she
Yeah.
felt a bit embarrassed, like, "Oh, okay, I see." Like, she might not have
Yeah.
properly even read your post.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's what I
that's
mean,
some.
like, I give people the benefit of the doubt that nobody kind of knows or realizes what, like, it is because it is copyright infringement.
Mm.
Um,
Have you
yeah.
thought about what you could do going forward?
So I have reached out to ACID, which is Anti-Copying in Design, um, and they're kind of a membership that you can join who then will support you through that kind of thing.
Right.
So I've got a meeting with them on Friday,
Nice.
um, because I did just think, because to be fair, someone said to me, the more people that start to copy your work or your whole entire brand, um, it's basically devaluing your business because there's more
Mm.
people out there doing it. And then that made me think, oh, well, I should probably stop burying my head because otherwise it just carries on, doesn't it? And I'm sure,
Yeah.
like, you shut one down, another one will pop up, but at
Yeah.
least you're kind of trying to do something about it. But I'm just
Yeah.
such a wimp and such a people pleaser that I'm like, oh, okay, you carry on. I'm so
But I think
sorry. Can
it's
I
going back.
stop?
Yeah, you have it actually. You carry
Oh,
it on. Here's my
well,
Instagram.
yeah.
But I think it also goes back to what you were saying before, like, it's just you in this business, so it's almost like, "Oh, I can't really take on also being a lawyer and, like, also trying to figure out this whole thing." So it's even though it's so painful, I can imagine that's why you buried your head, because it's like, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
really want to deal with it, because it's not as if it's just a quick fix. You can block that person or shout about it on
Mhm.
Instagram, but you kind of want it being bigger than that. So it's like, I'll just go back to the 10 million other jobs I had to do this day.
Yeah. And it's like people will say, like, you should name and shame, but I just don't wanna go down that route, like, I don't want it to get like that, but
Yeah.
no, hopefully I can try and do something about it. But I just hate that it's happening to so many people as well, so I
Yeah.
kind of wanna share it and share how I can deal with it because I know other people are going through it, and it must be really difficult as well. Like, the way I've kind of dealt with it and made a bit more kind of sense of it in my head is that because I have fortunately got such a big platform,
Mm.
so many people kind of know that it's my
Uh,
designs. But if I didn't have that, I'd feel really quite a bit worse about it.
yeah. If someone had
Um,
more followers than you and they were the copycat, because then it's
yeah,
almost like, well, people might think you're the copycat because you're
yeah,
on less
like who
followers,
was
but
there first kind of thing.
yeah, it's hard. And I think
Yeah, it's
Instagram is so great, but like for lots of reasons, but it also does, it kind of makes everything like people feel like they own everything, almost like, oh, I've seen that. She's put it on the internet, so that means I can do it
yeah,
and have it. Almost, I
and like
don't
with
know the.
Pinterest the same, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
people will screenshot a photo to upload it to their board, and then, like, you kinda lose who the original
yeah,
creator of it was. And then it's used as an inspiration app.
yes,
Or how many times have you seen something on Pinterest and been like, "Oh, I can do that."
yeah,
Um, but it's which is fine when it's for personal use. I feel like
yes,
I need to say, like, that I've got absolutely no problem with people coming to a workshop. I will literally say, "If you're struggling for inspiration, take something off my shelves and I will help
hmm,
you recreate it tile for tile if you want me to."
Yeah.
Like, the kits that I do, obviously, it's encouraging people to create my designs.
Yeah.
The problem is when people start to profit from it,
Yeah.
um, and, like, sell my designs as theirs. I think I do need to be very clear that this isn't in any way me saying people can't make, like, 'cause how ridiculous, again, if I was selling kits to make my designs, but then, like, "You copycat,
Yeah, yeah, you can't make that. It's like
I'm gonna take you down." Um, so
it is
yeah.
kind of how to, like, talk about that line without feeling like you're just preaching. But yeah, it is hard because my patron is exactly the same as your workshops. You know, one of my tiers is how to draw, and I'm encouraging people to draw along with me. And I'm like, draw this like this, and
Mhm.
add some texture to this bit. So, and I know that they'll all end up a little bit different because that's what's so nice is people just have different styles. But even if they didn't, I don't mind if it's for personal use because it's that thing of you're learning something, and sometimes a really good way of learning something is to just copy somebody else's.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing it as a hobby, then that is harmless. And, even if you get really, really good at it, but it's just a hobby, it's still harmless. It's when people then go, I'm going to start selling these as prints and cards and mugs and whatever, and
Yeah.
with you, I'm going to start selling door numbers and stuff. And then you're like, okay, now we've crossed the line. But it is
Yeah.
hard because you don't want to be like on your Instagram every day, me again, just a reminder.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't wanna make people like, someone has said to me, "Why don't you get people to, like, sign a contract and when they come to a workshop?" It's like, that is just not, imagine sitting
No.
down and me being like, "Right,
You'd almost be
sign this."
scared to start. I think it would put
It's
you off.
horrible.
Yeah.
And I think because
Especially
I'm
if
so sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, especially if they were hoping to use one of yours as their inspiration because they didn't quite know what to do, they'd then be like, "But wait, what does my contract say?" They would feel
Yeah.
nervous, I think.
Um, yeah, no, and it's just like, you like, workshops to me is about the experience more than the actual final outcome. It's about
Mm,
making people feel like they can come and switch off and feel safe and,
be
not have to deal
creative.
with any stress or
Yeah,
anything like that. So that is just not a route that I wanna go down.
yeah,
But
I think that's fair.
who
I
knows? We'll
think hopefully
see.
this what did you say it was called? Acid?
Acid.
Yeah, will be really good as, like, support for, let's face it, when it happens in the future, because I'm sure it will probably happen again.
Yeah,
But yeah, hopefully that will be kind of much easier because you can offload that onto somebody and not
yeah,
just go, "What do I do again?"
yeah.
So,
And I
yeah.
think just speaking to someone who actually knows what they're talking about,
Yeah.
and it's good to just chat about it. I think yesterday after I did that post, I just felt like all of the stuff that I've been, like, whirring around my head for so long, and it was finally out, and people had been so kind and lovely. And I just felt like I felt sick for most of the evening, but I also then just felt so much better for finally saying it and kind of getting all of that out of my own head.
Good. Maybe that's what you need to take forward, be like, "Right, I'm gonna be more, transparent."
Maybe. I'm like crying on Instagram every day.
Yeah. It's my evening cry, and today it's about the fact I ran out of yogurt.
Yeah, that is sad.
So let's turn it around because obviously that's like, been so interesting to learn about, but it's kind of almost like a very much a negative side of the business. Can you tell us like some of your favorite like kind of parts of running a business other than like as a whole? Are there any particular bits that make you think being freelance and having your own company is like the best?
Yes. I can't imagine being employed. I was for a little bit just part-time and just wasn't for me. I think the freedom, well, I always think like the freedom of being able to kind of figure out your own hours and all of that, but you end
Mm,
up doing way more
yeah.
hours. But that's still in your control. Like
Yeah.
if we want to go, because obviously we quite like to travel.
Yeah.
Um, So if we want to do that, that's up to us. Like last year, I could take a couple of months off, which was amazing. That has always been that's obviously the biggest, like, the first thing people think about self-employment is that you dictate your own hours
Holidays.
and
Yeah, and your
you're
holidays, you
in
can go on
control
holiday.
of your own time.
Yeah.
And also, though, if you're doing loads and loads of extra work and working all hours, it's all for you. Like, you're not doing it
Mhm.
for someone else. You're not helping somebody else, like, line their pockets kind of
No,
thing.
that's so true. Yeah, that is true.
Um, you're in charge of your own income and
Mm.
building, like, whatever you're trying to build, um, is definitely the biggest thing for me, and I can choose the projects that I want to work on, um, and yeah, I just can't imagine doing anything else.
That is such a good point, yeah, because I think when you're really stressed, you as in like a whole, not like you specifically, um, and you're kind of thinking, "Oh god, I have so much to do and it's only me, I've got no one else. I can't." It's not like being in a job where you can go, "I'm handing it over, I'm going on holiday, I'm handing it over," or whatever. But actually, yeah, it's not for anybody else, it's to better yourself and your own career. So you do then get that reward
Mhm.
directly to you rather than like, "Oh, cool, so they did really well and got a like
Yeah,
they took a massive bonus or whatever, and
yeah.
they got to then go on a big holiday." It's like you work hard and then you feel, yeah, I can now go and do the like best parts of freelance and
Mhm.
take some time off or whatever.
Yeah. And also, like, obviously, I've created this business based on just something that I loved in the first place. So the fact that I've been able to turn what was a hobby into a full-time career
Mm,
is just the best thing ever.
that's cool. Do you enjoy like do you is it kind of equal enjoyment to hosting workshops and doing your big panels and stuff that you then sell or whatever, or is there one that you kind of prefer, or is it a day-to-day type?
Yeah. Um, I do love running the workshops. I've been so many times people have said to me, I thought it was Jake at the window. Um, so many times people have said like, "Oh, can you not drop the workshops now and focus on your own artwork?" But
Mm,
that's never like I didn't start out. I think I've done it like backwards. I've started out as a workshop person
yeah,
and then developed my own work alongside it. Whereas a lot of people develop their artwork and then share that through workshops. But
right,
because
yes.
mine has always been like I started basically with running workshops, I would never want to give that up and I just absolutely love it. I love being able to create really beautiful events for people, whether it's just like a low key Sunday morning workshop or it's more of a like bougie retreat day.
Yeah,
Um, I do think that it will always be and like after a really good workshop that's gone really well and everyone's been really lovely and really enjoyed themselves and I'll get a message to say that it was exactly what they needed and
oh,
like some of the messages I've had after workshops have just made me sob because it's just exactly like all I've ever wanted is to create a space for people to just come and be able to feel safe and to switch off from whatever might be going on at home. Um, and the feedback from that will always be, "Oh, that's a really nice mosaic," I think.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like, I absolutely love making the big panels, and they are very much still my, like, therapy.
mm,
They're what still switch my own brain off. As someone who's such an overthinker and so anxious all of the time, I need something. And it's quite hard as well when you turn that into a business.
mhm,
You kind of lose that, like, therapeutic side of it a bit more.
yeah,
So I do still try and make sure that every now and again I will just make something just for the fun of it, just
yeah,
'cause I think it is important. And it also
yeah,
it still, like, benefits me work-wise.
yeah, totally.
Um, But no, I think workshops will always be my favourite thing. And, like,
Yeah.
there's obviously some times where I'm like, "Oh god, I've got" like, this weekend coming, I've got 4 workshops.
Oh, wow.
Um, so I'm a
So,
bit
like,
like, "Oh, well,
what, kind of a daytime one, then evening, and then day and then evening? Or is it half
yeah."
days?
So, day, evening, morning, afternoon.
Wow. You're gonna be
Um,
knackered.
I know, I know. But
But
no,
I
it'll
know
be
that you'll
be
kind of
lovely.
just do it, and then you'll be tired afterwards, I feel.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like no one will notice that you're
Oh, no. But no, I will be on, and then I'll get home and Jake will be like, "How did it go?" I'll be like, "Don't talk to me. My social battery's run out." I
Well,
can't talk.
I was gonna say, do you, like, suffer with kind of burnout, and what do you do if you hit burnout to, like, help yourself?
I think I definitely do. I think I have this month, to be fair. I've been
Mm,
I've struggled quite a bit this month. Um, but you can't always well, I say you can't, like, as in people can't, but
yeah.
I can't always just be like, "Right, I need to stop now," because
Mm,
those people like, I'd never cancel
no.
workshops or so sometimes you just got to, like, power through, and then I think it helps me to know when the next break is.
Mm,
Um, but no, I've definitely had burnout
yeah. Are there
several
any, like, little things that you find help, like, and just thinking for other people that might be, like, have a lot on, when they're feeling burnt out, and are there things like walks, or do you find, like, movie and a takeaway, or, are there kind of
Mhm.
little things that you can do around your busy things so you don't have to wait 2
Yeah.
months for that
Yeah,
holiday?
my recommendation isn't just keep going for 2 months, you'll be fine. That is not my advice, that's terrible advice. Don't listen to that bit, cut that bit out. Um, like, day to day, if I'm really like, "Oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna get through today," or whatever, I will think, "Right, on your way home, you can stop somewhere nice and you can buy yourself some pajamas."
Some pajamas.
Yeah, a new pair of
That is so
pajamas,
great.
always a treat.
I
Um,
thought you were gonna say, like, some
or
cake or something like that, but no, just pajamas.
I love a pair of pajamas, new pajamas or a new pair of socks, also great.
Yeah,
That is also, like, if I did that, I would have the most pajamas anyone's ever had, ever, like, that's bad
every
advice
d
as well, ignore that.
every day
Um,
coming home.
I've got a lot, but not enough, like, to say that every time I have a stressful day, I buy pajamas.
Yeah,
Um, Getting outside always has helped me. I am not very good at it since not having a dog. Like, that
yeah,
was always the thing that I would just have to walk her every day. But since losing Millie, I've definitely just don't get out for a walk
mm,
anywhere near as much as I should, unless it's like we're going to the Lake District
yeah,
specifically to go, like, for a hike.
yeah,
I'm not very good at just getting out for a walk. But I think, like I said to Jake last night, um, Jake is my partner for the people who have no idea. Kids just keep saying to you, like, Jake, um, I just need to have some time without my phone. I think
yeah.
completely just not even having it in the same room as me will really help. Although then you're
That's really
worrying
good.
about, um, not being on it, but sometimes I will just go completely quiet
Mm,
on socials, and I feel really guilty about it, but then I'll just be like, "No, just accept it. You're not gonna post anything for 3 days. It's fine.
yeah,
Like, the world is not gonna end if you don't post or reply to certain things straight away."
yeah,
So I think and switching off when you get home. I know it's hard for some people because if you're running your business from home, and I know when I used to work from home, it is hard to switch off, but now because I, like, come to work every day and go home, like, sometimes I'll get home and I'll be like, "I'm not gonna do anything this evening."
yeah,
Um, so maybe switch your phone off is better
yeah.
advice than buy a new pair of pajamas.
Although, but if you feel like buying new pajamas, then
Yeah,
go for it.
yeah, you
I
treat
like that
yourself.
though. I think I'm way too attached to my phone, and I think one of my like goals this year was to have some phone down days, because
Mhm.
at the end of last year I left, like on purpose, I left my phone plugged in by the side of my bed, and I thought I'll check it just before bed, and that's the only time I'm going to look at it today. I didn't miss it at all, and when I went to
Mhm.
bed, I think I had 2 WhatsApps, and they were both from family members sending me their Wordle. So you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, so that just shows, like, obviously I'm not saying don't have a phone, because they're quite useful, but I think we think that they're needed all the time,
Yeah.
for, and because you can constantly go on Instagram and yeah, someone may have commented or
It's
whatever
just
on something,
instant. Yeah.
but
And I
it
think
doesn't matter.
actually I wouldn't like the one thing I do really try and do is not check my phone before bed, because then I
Mm.
think if you see something that like sends your nervous system a bit funny,
Yeah,
well, this happens to me, that'll mean that I won't sleep,
yeah,
because it'll just be on my mind, and then I'll feel like either like I need to reply to it, or I'll be worrying that I've not replied to it, or I'll be thinking about my reply that I'm gonna send in the morning. So I think,
yeah,
like, even if you say, "I'm gonna check my phone for the last time at 8 o'clock," and then it's hard though, isn't it? Because we need it. Like, I use it for my alarm,
yeah,
or, like, to be able to sleep, I have to watch something, which means that my iPad's, like, right in front of my face. So it is hard,
yeah,
um, but just giving yourself time, or if you go away for the day, then switching your phone off for a little bit.
yeah,
Then you need it for your camera to be able to take pictures, so I don't know.
yeah. But you could even just put it on like do not disturb or something, so you're not
Mhm.
getting that
I
anything
think I've
come in.
accidentally had that on for years.
You're like, I am so unpopular. Nobody
Yeah.
calls me.
No, but then people are like, "Oh, it just went straight to voicemail." I was like, "Oh, that's weird." But I think I've had it on do not disturb for literally forever. But I'm okay with it.
You're like, oh, I might as well leave it now. That's how I'm used to
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, oh, I don't know, it's just broken.
That's the way forward. Just do not disturb your life.
Mhm.
See you later.
Yep.
Let me see where I'm up to. Oh, so pretty much overnight back in 2020, 2021, one of your reels went mad
Mhm.
and
2021.
2021, and everything changed for you overnight. And I know this story, but I want you to share this story about kind of what happened and how you felt at the time. Because obviously, sometimes, you're like, oh, great, I've got loads of followers, wonderful. It wasn't
Not
quite like
me.
that.
That wasn't my reaction. From the top,
Yeah. In a
so
summary, you don't have to go into like every
I was
detail.
born in 1992. It was a Thursday,
And it rained.
probably. No, so I had, just taken on so it was May. I'd taken on a studio the August before, so I'd had, like, a year, but it was that funny year where every now and again we'd get locked down for, like, a week, or,
Yeah.
the restrictions just kept changing.
Yeah.
Um, and then the January, we got locked down for the whole month, I think.
Mm.
So during that time, I really started to kind of make bigger panels because I obviously had the time, and at that point then I had the space, so I had somewhere to actually come to work each day, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Um, and then at that point, Instagram Reels started to become a thing, I think. So I'd posted a few, like, I don't know, there was one just of a dog with a teddy on her head. Like, there was just some, I don't know, little random videos.
Yeah.
Um, and then I started to, like, time lapse making the bigger panels and getting a bit fancier, changing the angles and all of that. So kind of spent a bit of time practicing making different kinds of content. Um, And then at that point, I think TikTok was maybe, because TikTok was a thing through lockdown, wasn't it? People started doing like the
Yeah,
dances and there
the
was the trends.
dances. Yeah.
Yeah, because every Friday my dad would learn a TikTok dance and send it to him. I
That's
don't know how
amazing.
he didn't. I don't know how he did it. But yeah, so my sister kept saying to me, "You need to post like your videos on TikTok. You need to get on TikTok." But at that point, it did kind of have the reputation of being, it's just where teenagers learn how to dance.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going on TikTok. I can't be like, I've never really done trends on social media. I've never done any like lip syncing or anything
Yeah.
like that. And then I think somebody else said it to me that I obviously thought more of than my little sister, like, "You need to put it on TikTok," because I think they'd maybe done an advert. TikTok had done an advert and the hashtag was like "learn on TikTok," and they were trying to promote that more people were posting kind of different kinds of video.
Right.
So I posted one of the videos I'd already posted on Instagram. I had already edited it all and like made it all. So I thought, right, well, first of all, I was like trying to figure out how to do a TikTok. So I was like this with my
Yeah.
phone, like trying to figure out how to post it. Then I realized I'd posted a video of myself with a beard. It's,
No.
it's still on there. I can send it to you.
Yes,
A
please.
video. Do you want me to show you? A
Yeah.
video of myself with a beard going, "Hello."
Were you just growing it for lockdown or? Oh, for people that are just listening to this, it's a wonderful filter.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful filter. It is old school TikTok
yeah,
almost. It's like quite basic but hilarious. That
yeah.
is very, and you just left it up there. Is that on
Well,
your?
I couldn't figure out. It's deleted now, but it stays in like a different folder.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I was like, "Oh, like I don't know what I'm doing here." And then, so that's why I then posted the video I'd already done for Instagram, and I thought I'll
Right.
post that one to figure out, because I had no followers, I wasn't following
Yeah.
anyone. I thought no one's going to see it, so this is a good test run.
Yeah.
And then I woke up in the morning. It was really weird. I woke up in the morning and I said to Jake, I was like, "Oh, I wonder how many," I said something like, "I wonder how many millions of views I've had," or I said something like that.
You're
It was
right.
really weird.
Okay.
And then I looked at it and it had like 20,000 views. And I was
Wow.
like, "Ha- nobody follows me.
Yeah.
Nobody, how is 20,000 people seeing it?"
Yeah.
And then through the day, it just kept going up and up and up and up until the next day. And then it was at like 500,000. And I
What?
was like, something weird's going on. I don't know what's happening. And then I posted the part two of it, which was like grouting it. And it happened again. I was like, this is bizarre. And then the first video, because obviously I didn't know what I was doing, I
Yeah.
hadn't linked Instagram or my website or anything.
Yeah.
So I got loads of followers on TikTok, but nobody came over. And then
Okay.
the second video, everyone started to click through to Instagram. And I was on
Right.
like 4,000 followers maybe at the time.
Yeah.
And that within a couple of days got to 10,000. And at that point, I was like, that is crazy.
Well,
Like,
you didn't get to really celebrate your 5,000, which when you're getting going, it's quite a
and
big
then,
thing when you finally reach 5K, when you
yeah,
get like kind of building it.
no, I literally remember thinking, I've been robbed of my five. And then I think before I could eat, and then I was like, no, 10, I can celebrate 10. And then it got to 15, like within a few days. So I was like, wow, no, never
Yeah.
mind that. And during this time, like I didn't really post anything. I was just kind of like freaking out. And then, no, actually, it must have been that video. So then that video then kind of caught up on Instagram, and Instagram must have been like, oh, that's doing well on TikTok, so we'll make it do well here too.
Mm.
And then that's when my followers count just kept going up and up, and I was getting so many messages and so many, like, bear in mind, up until this point, I've been running workshops locally.
Yeah.
It's only really, like, local people who have ordered kits every now and again.
Yeah.
Um, so many people were messaging me. I was getting, like, requests from hotels in Singapore to make a panel, and it was crazy. Like, every time I refreshed my phone, it'd go up, like, 1,000 followers, and I was getting loads of emails and loads of messages, and then Jake came in, he was like, "Briony, your website's down, like, they've crashed your website." I was like, "No, I've turned it off." I was like, "I've turned it off. I'm gonna delete Instagram. It's too much." And he's like, "You've turned your website off? You've been waiting for years
Yeah.
for, like, people to find you and go on your website, and now it just says error when anybody tries."
I wouldn't even know how to take my website down. I wouldn't know
No.
how to do it.
Well, I didn't know how to just, like, pause the shop or something,
Right.
or close the shop, so I just
Yeah.
closed the whole thing. Um, and then a couple of months later, so I carried on like that and did some other videos that did pretty well. So it kind of, like, gradually just went up and up a little bit. And then I did another video of a bigger panel, which then just went, like, mega. It was wild. Like, that was when, so I think it got 30 million views on Facebook, but because I'd obviously had
Oh,
no idea, I
yeah.
wasn't I wasn't monetized and didn't even know what that meant.
Mhm.
And then I got a notification to say you're now eligible for monetization because it had gone over, like, the 10,000 views or whatever.
Yeah.
I had 30 million views, and if that video would have been 1 second longer, I think it would have made me, like, 10 grand.
Because it wasn't it like 59 seconds or something, and it had to be 60 to be able to, like that is and you could have literally that wouldn't you wouldn't have even had to do anything. You could have just held,
Yeah,
like, a black shot if you wanted at the end.
yeah. Just literally my name at the end.
Yeah,
That's all I
that is
needed.
so
But the
frustrating.
funniest thing is that I've done the same again since.
So it's really good to know that you
Yeah,
learned from your mistakes.
yeah, yeah. No, never to that. Like, I don't think I'll ever recreate that level of
I don't
viralness
know,
again.
you've had some big boys recently.
But that one, because so many, like, every lad Bible, that whatever
Mm,
them kind of pages are, all of them were sharing it. Another company shared it, and they did split the profits of it with me, so I did make some money from it. But even then I was like, I think I got, like, £1,000, and I was like, "This is crazy."
and you didn't I know it, like, just carried on going up, but wasn't it kind of it was either, like, 35 or 50K because I remember you were like, "I've really got to announce something," when,
Mhm.
because it just grew and grew, like, followers, and I know it carried on after that, but from those kind of few reels to just suddenly go that big must have been quite
Well, I think,
overwhelming.
oh, yeah. So I think from the May to the September, I went from 4 to 100.
Wow, that's mad.
It's just crazy.
And that is I think what's funny is that's the dream in a way, but
Mhm.
then the reality can be quite yeah, quite overwhelming, but then you don't wanna say, "Go away, unfollow
Oh,
me."
no, no, and to be fair, a lot of people, the thing, when you do get so many so quickly, a lot of them will quite quickly unfollow as well.
Right,
Because, like, there might have been a lot of people from America who followed, and then when they realised I didn't ship internationally,
right, okay.
or, like, they got impatient waiting for me to.
Yeah.
Um, and then you're like, "Oh, that's the first time that people have unfollowed you as well." So then you're like, "Oh god, what have I said to
Yeah.
offend all of these people?" But then I was looking at my, like, statistics last night, and I think I've had 6,000 unfollows in the last, I'm like, I am not saying anything controversial, or
No,
it's not like I'm posting anything that could offend
no.
anybody, but I think that is just how either people deactivate their accounts, they're just not engaging with you, so they'll just unfollow.
Yeah.
But to not take that personally is
Yeah.
something I've had to kind of learn. Um, but no, it was mad. And the did I tell you about the American news channel?
Yeah, I'm sure that you're on TV once
So they
or
played
something.
the video in the background, and then like 3 American news people were just like narrating the video. It
That is mad.
and
What
I don't even know
I
how we found that.
You just wouldn't expect that. Like, obviously, beautiful reels, beautiful things that you're doing, but, like, I would never expect, even, like, if I did my best drawing ever, for it to do that and then to be on, like, TV and be like, "Guys, it's just a drawing. It's just a mosaic. Like, can we just calm down?"
Yeah, I think it's because people hadn't seen necessarily that style of it before.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people making the same sort of process video as I have. So I think that first TikTok probably did so well because it was kind of like the first, or one of the first, not the first, but the first of its kind maybe on
Yeah,
that
and
app.
it's so relaxing to watch, and I think your grouting ones, because I was talking to Ben about it recently, and it's because 'cause they're so satisfying. Because you basically ruin your ceramic. You've got this
Mm,
gorgeous mosaic, and then you just cover it in, like, navy blob.
mess.
Yeah, and then you're like, "Oh god," and then you kind of wipe it away, and it just looks insane, and they're really satisfying to watch for
Mhm.
sure, so I can see why people like it, especially when you have had, like, a busy day. It's quite a nice, relaxing kind of zone out to watch
Okay.
rather than TikTok dances.
Yeah. Although I do love a TikTok dance.
Yeah. I just love the food ones, to be honest. Anyone
Yeah.
either making food or eating food, and it's always in London, my
Um,
London list.
no, I never Wales. That's what I like to watch videos
Wales,
of.
yes, I get a lot of Wales,
Killer
all in
whales
America.
jumping, humpback whales
Yeah.
jumping. That is
When you
my
first said
algorithm.
Wales, I thought you meant as in
Love
England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I was like, "Niche, okay."
the mammal.
Yes, I also get a lot of Wales. So I think we need to wrap it up. So I want to ask you a final question to, like, kind of round up this lovely interview of, like, what advice would you have for any aspiring creatives, artists out there that are maybe at the stage that you were when you just kind of did something as a hobby and, like, thought this would be great, but I don't, could I actually turn
Mhm.
this into a career? Have you got any bits of wisdom or advice for them?
Find a niche, definitely. I think you've got to find a real gap in the market and something that feels unique to you, but also it is you. I
Mm,
think it has to actually be like a piece of you, and you've got to have a real like passion for what you're doing. It can't just be, I think this is going to do well.
yeah,
I think it shows if, like, there's certain brands, aren't there, that you just know that they are the business and the business is them kind of thing.
yeah,
I think that does show. And also, it needs to be something that you absolutely love because you are going to think about it every single day and every single minute for the
yeah,
rest of time. And
yeah,
sometimes you won't want to think about it, but you'll still think about it. So
yeah,
I do think like you do have to absolutely love what you're doing and be willing to put the work in because, like, to begin with, it's not easy.
no,
Like, for years, I was kind of like making ends meet, but so
yeah,
determined. And also, don't always listen if there's people telling you get a real job. Don't listen to them.
yeah, definitely don't. If you really enjoy something and you wanna do it, you'll only resent people if you follow what they say, by not doing it. You
Not
wanna
don't
use that.
listen. I think you've just got to take that kind of because not everybody will get it. And I
No,
think that's the biggest thing is not everyone will get it, but the right people will, and
yeah,
they will be your people. and just surround yourself with a few supportive people who will champion you, because otherwise it's hard work, like, fighting against, I don't know. I think you just need, and I think it's been really nice with you that we can kind of, like, tell each other our
Yeah.
successes. If we not even if we can't, like, necessarily tell other people, because they
Yeah.
might be secret.
Yes.
But I think it's always nice to have that one person, isn't it, that you can, like, celebrate the little wins, even if they're absolutely tiny.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
little or big, and, like, you know, because you also, I don't know about you, but sometimes when you get a big one in, you almost afraid to shout about it because you don't wanna seem like you've got this massive ego, like, "Look at me and what I got." So I think it's that can also be hard, but yeah, it's so nice being able to have our little chats of highs and lows and random business chats,
yeah.
at any time, and it is constant, isn't it? Like, what you were saying about thinking about your business,
Oh,
you can I was literally in, like, kind of a shack in Lombok, and I was like, "So for my patron this year," like, you can't get away from it.
I have dreams about turning up to a workshop and I've, like, double booked, or they get here and there's no tile, like, it is literally, even in my sleep, I am
Yeah.
worried about work.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard to not be worried as well, which is annoying. Even when you're doing well, you're still like, "Yes, but," and I think that's what
Yeah.
I need to try and work on to try
But
and
I don't
just
think it's always a complete negative. I think sometimes having that little bit of, not doubt, because, but I don't know, I think that kind of, I don't know. I can't imagine how it'd feel if you just, always felt like, "This is fun. I'm
yeah, because I
doing
guess
great."
the doubt is the drive as well, isn't it, to keep
Yeah. Yeah.
going. But yeah, I think that's really important to surround yourself with people, like, if you're getting into something creative, maybe finding other people that do it or do other creative things that you can kind of create that network and chat about.
Yeah.
'Cause you don't have to do it alone, like, mentally. You're obviously doing it alone physically, but you can,
Yeah, and it is
yeah,
hard,
reach
like,
out.
I was doing it so alone, like,
Mm,
literally so alone for so many years, and then I think through social media, I've kind of built my little community of other small
yeah,
businesses, and that's obviously how we met,
yeah,
um, because it's I was the only person that I knew trying to be self-employed, really,
yeah,
and a lot of people didn't really get it, and also my other advice is to post on social media and not think that it's cringy
yeah,
or embarrassing, or think
not good enough.
nobody's gonna see it because I've got no followers, because
Yeah,
you don't know where it'll go, and sometimes it does just feel like an absolute battle trying to be seen,
mm.
but stick at it.
Yeah, definitely. It is important. It is the best place. And I know that so many people, like other businesses and people looking for creative work that they can commission, is on Instagram, whether it's publishers or big companies that want something really cool, like creative doing for them or whatever, they will look on Instagram because it's so much easier than trying to just Google, because Google has so much, whereas Instagram, you can see
Oh,
those
I
things
use
and see.
Instagram, like, if I wanna go to a restaurant, the first
Yeah,
thing I'll do is look at,
the
I
food,
don't know
I
whether,
do that.
yeah, and I just think it, yeah, so,
Yeah, it is. So yeah, you need to get your work out there and don't feel like it's not good enough, because that's like your inner
yeah,
battle, but actually people will go, "Wow, that's amazing," and they'll just enjoy seeing it. They won't
yeah,
tear it
but I
apart.
remember as well, like, I never wanted to do, like, chatty stories, because I was always so embarrassed that someone from school might see
Yeah,
it and think, "Oh, who does she think she is, like, trying to
and you
be
hate
some
your
sort of
voice when you listen back
influencer?"
for the first time.
Oh, yeah, I hate everything about everything on camera, but just gotta do it.
Just do it anyway. So anytime you're
Yeah,
looking at Briony's stories and she's smiling, she's saying, "Hi guys." Inside she's going, "I hate this."
my face just goes like, as soon as I come up, it doesn't
Like on
really. Doesn't
I've
really,
seen
that's not
like
true.
reels of that of like influencers in the wild being like with their
Yeah.
friends outfit, like, oh, isn't this great? And then they take the phone down and they're instantly plain
Yeah.
faced. Yeah, that's business. Smiley and plain
Mhm.
face, I reckon. Okay, I think we leave it there, but thank you so, so much for coming. Is there anything you want to say before I tell you
Love
to
you.
go? I love you. Thank you. And that's it, guys. And I hope you really enjoyed this podcast or video or however you're watching it or listening to it. And tune in, subscribe. Briony's Instagram is at Briony Machin. And
Machin,
my
but yeah, Machin.
sorry, Machin. I can never get it. Machin. And mine is at Becca Hall Illustration, and our websites and everything on there. All the information you need to find. Patreon, YouTube is you can find on there if you just give us a little googly. And I think that's it. Thanks so much. All right, goodbye,
Thank
guys.
you.